and welcome to another edition of the One Team We Agree On. I'm Jillian.
I'm Kyle. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm just doing okay. But yeah, we got another exciting episode of the One Team We Agree On. Recapping this past weekend's action. We got a little bit of news and notes on some of the international windows, some players getting called up, but also talk about the Kick Childhood Cancer Fearless 43 that went on this week. Share some thoughts on that. And yeah, just thanks everybody for tuning in here. And shout out to Todd Lewis of the Free Kick for, I know he's on vacation right now, for giving us a
Jealous. I'm
shout.
jealous.
Yeah. Hope you're having a wonderful time. But also, yeah, for giving us a shout out early this weekend. And we did post an announcement that there was going to be a schedule change. We were going to record yesterday. We recorded today. Um, and shout out to Pat and the Hat for giving us questions. So
Nice.
we'll be sure to answer that towards the end of the show. But before we get started today, again, thank you everybody for tuning in. And please make sure to comment. We might have a couple questions for everybody. So
Yeah.
if you're listening, please comment. But what are we wearing today?
I'm wearing my Kick Childhood Cancer warm-up top from last year. They didn't do one this year. So they just had the players wearing their jerseys, but it had all the kids, the Fearless 43's like names in the numbers, which is kind of
Mm-hmm.
cool. But they didn't, yeah, they had this one out last year, so that's what I'm wearing.
Yeah,
And you, Kyle.
yeah, I did not get the memo. Once again,
Again,
I
you're dropping the ball. I'm
I am.
carrying I'm carrying our duo here in the fashion department.
Well, some people listening will already say you're probably just carrying it also on the writing side as well.
Oh, oh,
But no,
maybe.
but no,
Okay. So, yes, question to our listeners.
no,
No,
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
Comment below. But no, in all seriousness, I literally just got home from coaching.
So did I, and I still managed to put on a
I'm
top.
gonna have to start laying out like my shirt every week. But anyway, I'm wearing just my black York Y while IMCA the roses. It has some roses.
Go York, why?
It has York and Lancaster roses on the back, so um, it's kind of a nice little like organizational shirt. But anywho, where can people find us at?
You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And we are at the One Team We Agree on Instagram and Facebook. We're at TOTWAG on Twitter and Blue Sky. And we have our website, the one team we agree on.com, which thank you to everyone who's been reading our articles on there and subscribing. You can subscribe and get our emails right to your inbox. But we've had a few more there lately and lots of great views. And shout out to the people who are reading from like all over because I am so interested to know like who is reading our articles from like way far away, like in other countries and cross
Like
country.
Billy?
Well, I can probably take a guess at like at least it was in the town where the U20s are, so I'm sure that's related. But no, I mean we've got people in like Texas, we got people in Iowa and California and Oregon, and we got people in Sweden and all different places. So like, yeah, I'd love to know like, you know, what these connections. It's great. It's
Yeah,
great.
it's great.
I
It is.
appreciate people from all over the
Yeah, no,
place.
we
Like
appreciate
this
it.
is like it's super cool to see like where the readers are coming from.
It's kind of one of those moments where you're like, huh,
Yeah.
all right, we got that reach. We're starting to get a little bit of that reach. So that's good to
But yeah,
see.
we appreciate everyone checking it
Yeah.
out. And, if you're sharing our stuff or whatever, we appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's get into it. First and foremost, last week, kind of some news we had heard rumblings about,
Hmm.
but it was made official. U.S. Soccer announced their squad for the U20 World Cup in Chile. Um, and Frankie Westfield was added to that roster. You know, we heard some things, but also there was a question prior to New England about the plan should Frankie get called up. And Bradley kind of, I felt, was just kind of like, well, here's the plan. Kind of, it was kind of what we thought. Bizo, Harriel, some other things, and we'll talk about some other people got some opportunities potentially. But also within that announcement, Eddie Davis
Yeah.
was announced that he would be added to the training squad. He was one of two players selected,
Yep. So to go be a training player on the squad, and
potentially have an opportunity. We'll see what happens
yeah,
there. But anyway, the tour
that's fantastic
it
though.
is, it
Like
is.
fantastic for both of them.
It really is. Tournament will run September to October. US plays New Caledonia, France. That'll be a big matchup, obviously. And then we'll end the group stage against South Africa. Um, you know, Jillian, we've covered, both Frankie and Eddie extensively.
Yes.
Talk about some of the opportunity and how big that is for both of them.
Well, when you look at just the path that Frankie has gone
Hmm.
on, just making that, going up through the academy, and he's days away from going to Penn State and playing collegiately. Then he signs with Union 2, and then he gets the homegrown contract. He starts the first game of the season with the first team. Just what a tremendous rise he's been on, which is fantastic. Like the kid works hard, and he's come up so he's just really come on the last
Yes.
year or two, and it's just been fantastic to see. And and the same for Eddie. Like what an opportunity. He's getting this chance there to go prove himself and get on that radar. He was at the identity camp, and so he must have impressed. It's fantastic to see. Now, I know some people are like, well, what about Andrew Rick? Why wasn't he selected? And well, I mean, really, even if he was, he's got so much value right now to the first team, I think. But just it shows the tremendous talent that the Union have coming up through, and just Eddie and Frankie are such a testament to it. And you love to see that for them.
Yeah, and I think to your point about Rick, he's been in youth camps before. This is a tough group to crack. But
There's tons of talent in that squad,
I
for
would
sure.
say that first, and second, I still think, and Bradley talked about it ad nauseum during this year, the growth and development of Andrew Rick. We saw the
Mhm.
growth with the first team. I'm sure, and I don't know anything, but I'm sure he was on their radar. Obviously, he
Yeah.
was at the identity camp. So he's obviously on the radar.
Yeah.
It's just,
So is like Sal, for
so,
instance.
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not this window, but maybe future windows,
Yeah.
considering he develops, he gets that call up. Maybe it's with the national team. He's still got some time.
No,
So
for sure. And honestly, like I said, just what a tremendous opportunity. And it does stink, of course, losing these guys for the games. Frankie's definitely going to be away for longer, and depending how far this goes,
yeah,
he's been an important part to the first team. Now, Eddie has been very important to Union 2 at this point, and they've got depth and the strikers and everything, but Eddie is really, I think, starting to find his footing there because it's tough. Like all the strikers were kind of going little cold at times. They just were not getting, they just weren't finishing it. Like Eddie was having some rotten luck sometimes with just hitting the post or something, getting
mhm.
chances. He was getting chances, but he was doing a lot to set up things too, though. So he was doing really well. And it's great to see him get this opportunity too, because maybe he hasn't gotten all the first team time, but he's showing what he's got to offer, and that's just going to really help him take that next step.
Yeah, and getting back to the point, because I do want to touch on the playoffs in a little bit, but
Mhm.
with Frankie, the thing that continues to impress me with him is he'll have a game like Houston where he makes the blunder, all right?
Hmm.
And then he learns from it and he grows and he develops. And then maybe he doesn't have the best game, of some of these other games where maybe he has an off night. And then he bounces back with a performance like he had on Saturday, where, he was an integral part of that
Hmm.
goal that led to the 1-0 victory.
Yep.
He continues to impress, he continues to grow, and it's just been awesome to see that from where he was a year ago to where he is now, the leaps and bounds. And as a result, Matthew Doyle at MLS, he wrote that I think it's 22 under 20.
Under 22.
Yeah, under
Yeah.
22. And Frankie came in 14th.
Yeah, and in fact, there were several Union players on there.
Yes,
Quinn was on there and Makanya was on there,
yes,
which was great.
but I
But
think the biggest one
yes,
for me was Frankie. I mean, he
yeah,
was on rare, and Doyle even said, in another year, if he's still in the league,
he might be like way up higher on that
yeah, he's
list.
like top 10. I'm like, okay, is he going to be top four, top five, under 22? Maybe.
It wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me
Like,
either, but
I think he can do that, if he, just keeps developing the way he is.
yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the year, you hope you probably were thinking, maybe he's a 20, he was impressing at the youth national team, but you really just saw him come on. Obviously, when Harrell went down,
Talk about seizing opportunity.
exactly. So that,
What an opportunity that he seized.
and that's the thing, does Frankie seize this opportunity? And if so, do other teams start come calling? That's a question,
Hmm.
we obviously don't know anything, but that's a question to look at because if he really has a big tournament and they go far and he's makes an impact, I'm sure there's going to be teams calling. I mean,
Hmm.
it is. Um, so it's a good problem for the union to have, obviously.
Yep.
Having said that, you'd love to see him maybe stick around another season or two, and I'm sure, union are keeping that in consideration. But hey, I'm just curious, and I'll throw this out there to everybody. Some team throws a nice offer. I'm sure the union are going to listen. If it's the
Hmm.
right fit for
Yeah.
Frankie, developmentally moving forward, I'm sure they're going to listen. But getting to your playoff question,
Hmm.
um, are you worried at all that Eddie, I mean, it depends if he makes a roster, but Frankie now in these last three games, not going to be around should they make it to the final, which is on October
Hmm.
19th. Are you concerned at all?
I I am a little bit. I do think that he has been such a key piece. You saw what
Hmm.
kind of game he had against New England. He's been really important in there. Um, I do think that if Nate Harriel is able to play in his natural position there, and
Hmm.
if Makanya and Glesnes are in center back, okay. I think, Nate's he's great there too. That's fine. But hopefully no more yellow card accumulations and things.
Right.
Yeah, so but again, it's just not having that piece there is unfortunate, but at the same time, the other guys got to step up. And and yeah, you have Bizo too.
You have Bizo, and I hope the Bedoya experiment is,
Done because that was not it was fine the one time, but
and then the other times it didn't work out. I I get why Bradley did that to some degree. I hope they're kind of done with that experiment. That's just me saying that. However, you're right. Buys was there. Bradley talked about today in his press
and
conference.
something that he brought up today.
I was about to get to that,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, you're confident with Harriel,
Hmm.
as long as Glesnes and all the way through, um, maintain, good good stats, no blunders on their part.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, I mean, in a pinch, you could rely on maybe a Bizo, but an interesting wrinkle in this was that Giovanni Sequeira, who's a midfielder, but then this year got moved to right back
Hmm.
with Union 2, has played, he's had his moments of growth and development where
Yeah.
maybe he's had a clunker, but consistently you can see the development in him settling into that right back position. He's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets that opportunity. I personally think, he's on loan.
Yes.
The Union probably want to see what they have with him. And
Also, yeah.
this is just me speaking for me. I know nothing. It makes sense to give him an opportunity with considering his development this year. Say, hey, is he somebody that down the road we could potentially rely on?
Hmm.
I'm not saying they will,
Yeah.
but is that somebody we could look at? And so it makes sense that he gets those opportunities.
Yeah, and at the very least, since Frankie's away, you're bringing on Gio to have another person, have another defender in there during training and yeah, see what he can offer. I've I've been really impressed with Gio this season. I've talked to Ryan Richter about him. I talked to Gio and that stuff is on our website, by the way. I did
Mhm.
interview Gio through translator. He has some limited English, but he yeah, he's a very scrappy player. I really, yeah, he brings a lot. I think
He
he
hustles.
he does hustle, and he was, and we'll talk about the game. We'll talk about the Union 2 game, but just like you see him going around the corner, going for goal, and then he goes down in the box, and then Kevin gets the PK. But just like the hustle he had on that play, so I mean, he brings a lot. I think he's done a great job sliding into that right back role after Gavin Wetzel left for college. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and also with that goal to Stas, nice little turnover,
yeah.
creates a turnover, gets it out. Right to Stas leads to that first goal. So again, we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I mean, outside of Eddie, I mean, I don't know how much time he's gonna miss. They have depth there.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see, but again, as much as it might stink the for some people listening, I think the opportunity for Frankie outweighs that because they're in the playoffs. He'll be back in time for the playoffs. Um, I think it's a great opportunity for him. But leave a comment. Not having Frankie, does that concern you with these next three games or not? I'm curious to hear your thoughts because I honestly think that in a short spell, Harrell's proven time and time again he can handle. We've seen the growth and development from McConaughey this year. As long as they see a healthy, I think we're good.
Yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, it's just next man up.
Yeah.
And by the way, I did put an article out with has all the information about the U20 World Cup with
Mhm.
Frankie and Eddie's call up, and it's on our website. As far as the schedule, they have their first game on Monday, the 29th at 7 p.m. It's going to be on FS1 and Universo, and it is yeah, against New Caledonia. Do you know where New Caledonia is, Kyle? I'm putting you on the spot. You have no clue, do you? You probably didn't even know it was a country.
I have
Or,
says the guy that
uh,
used to back in the day win like the geography bee every year.
I was one of the finalists in the geography bee.
Yeah, I actually went 2 years in a row, seventh and eighth
Kyle, how
grade.
about when we were watching the Olympics and you're like, "What's that country? What's that country?" during the
There's
parade?
so many, dude.
Yeah, but no,
Uh,
seriously, can you name? Do you know where New Caledonia is?
is it south? Is it in the Pacific Islands?
Yeah, kind of.
Like
Well,
Oceania
it's in
air?
Oceania. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
over towards like Australia,
that's what I
like
was
that area.
thinking,
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
area.
Oceania. It's in Oceania.
See, I kind of knew where
Okay,
the area
okay,
was.
good job.
Now, if you told me where to point it in a map, I'd be like, okay, that might be a different comment. But
Yeah.
no.
And
Eh,
there is your tidbit. By the way, I have a like a minor in social studies, so yeah. Anyway, yes, thank you. Thank you.
anyway,
Moving on.
moving on. So this past weekend was Kick Childhood Cancer and celebration of the Fielders 43. I did want to talk a little bit about that. I wrote an article. It's out on our site, one
Wonderful
team,
article. Go check it out.
and also some wonderful organizations that were part of that. They had a celebration. They kicked it off Friday at Union Yards. They had a um, I wouldn't even say it was a fair. It was more like kind of just a celebration for the kids. They had vendors, they had carnival games, they had petting zoo.
Mhm.
I was lucky enough to go down and cover it. I was there for about half of the event. But yeah, Kisses for Kyle is the main organization. They've been doing that for now, partnering with them for the last 7 years. And it was just a really, really awesome event to be a part of, to see all the families. Because let's be honest, childhood
It sucked.
cancer sucks, but childhood cancer is the worst because it leads to chronic diseases, increased risks of developing second cancers. I can name different things, learning disabilities, you name it. It affects these kids for the rest of their life, regardless. And as somebody who works as their main job in working with people that are cancer survivors, the impacts I can say are across the board. It changes lives. So for these families and kids to get a weekend to kind of get their mind off of things, to have that reprieve, it's so awesome. So credit to the union organization for doing that. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it was just great to be able to talk with a lot of vendors. And I took some pictures and I'll share them right now. So if you're watching on YouTube, I'll have them up here. Here we go. Let's see here. Here. And so these are just some of the photos I took. They had the Blood Cancer United was there. They partnered with Subaru Loves to Care. They had a stand there. I actually got to talk to them a lot. Blood cancer is the number one form of childhood cancers, believe it or not. So it's great to talk to them. Uh, the Kellen Ford Foundation
Mhm.
was there on Saturday, and on Saturday, the Ford family got to bang the drum there at the beginning.
Yep.
Talked to them real briefly. They had some really nice little bags with bears and soccer balls. And they had a hashtag kick childhood cancer, which is on our
Hmm.
article. The Philadelphia Union had the voltage kits on the back. They had Fearless 43
Hmm.
with, I think, the little signing of all the kids and the names. And they had some goodie bags for them. Um, there's a petting zoo. They had some
Yes.
goats and some various animals there. And kids were all in there looking at all different animals. That was actually kind of cool. That was actually a really popular site when I was
Ah,
there. Um, they also had yoga mats, the Kellen Ford Foundation there, and they had the hashtag Kick Childhood Cancer, and that's about it.
Understood.
And that's really all the pictures I had from that. We'll get to Carnell's comments post match
mhm.
later. Um, but yeah, I mean, they also had Ryan's Case is a Smile, which I was talking to the volunteers. There's a fully volunteered case organization, and they provide games and activities in like a pillowcase
Hmm.
for kids that are sick, going through cancer, but also for their siblings, because as they say, it impacts siblings as well. So when the kids at appointment, they have things there for the siblings to play with as well. And I thought that was really cool. Um, and then yeah, they had the Kisses for Kyles there, and I interviewed um oh, what's her name?
Sharon.
Sharon Snyder,
Hmm.
her who lost her son Kyle, um, after an 8 month bout with cancer. So she started the organization. And it was really cool. Even just talking with some of the union staff about how this whole thing is. One of the interesting things was, prior to even this event, there was another event they used to do, and it was league mandated
Hmm.
at one time. It was something else. And now the league doesn't really mandate that stuff anymore, but yet the union are still doing it.
And I love that.
I
Like,
do
shout
too.
out to the union for doing that. Like, that is amazing.
So again, if you were at the match on Saturday, you got to see the Fearless 43, um, and just see the activities. On Saturday, they had a pregame tailgate for the kids in the morning, and then they brought them out at halftime, recognized
Yep.
them.
And everyone in every single seat in the stands had the Fearless 43 flags, which I have had them. But
Yeah, and it was just
yeah.
really cool to see all the fans and all the
Hmm.
kids. It was really good. So kudos to the union, and just everything that they did. They had the one kid that was a Make-A-Wish as well. He got to meet the team. So, and Indiana Vasilov said best post-match, puts things into perspective. Somebody had
Yeah.
asked him that, and
I know,
he
like,
just kind of
yeah.
paused and just said that, and then he gets quiet, and he goes, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And I'm like, you couldn't say it
Yep.
better.
Yep.
So, anyway, um, I'm going to put the link of organizations that were there at the event on Friday. If you want to donate, the links are in there. So please feel free to donate as well. You don't have to, but please consider it. Um, every bit helps
Hmm.
if you're able. Let's skip on, and we'll talk about the match itself here in a little bit, but let's talk about the second team.
All right. Yeah.
Um,
So I went to the game.
yeah, and they had a big game against Chicago Fire, who's probably top scoring, one of the top scoring, probably top two, I think.
The New York Red Bulls too, I know had I think maybe the most goals and them. But yeah, Chicago is no joke. Union when they were out at Chicago, they really battled the whole match. They were getting lots and lots of opportunities, but then Chicago ended up scoring two late goals and getting the win. And they had part of it was they had Melenda in goal, and he was phenomenal for them.
He
He
was.
was really, really good. So, um, and they were missing like Shukaluk wasn't in there, and they didn't have Pareba back, and like so it's you think okay, that's just bad luck there. But going into this match, they really needed to get points. They really need to get points, and because they're going for the best possible playoff scenario they can get. They're right in the hunt there with New
Mhm.
York Red Bulls too, and there's teams right around them. Chicago was third place going into this, and so a lot's on the line there. New England's right behind them. So all that is going on. So from the get-go, Union 2 came out just with this energy. You could
Mhm.
see it like right from the beginning. Just as they took the field, they looked pumped. I mean, Cavan's jumping around. They're all jumping around. But like I could just see it. Like I was like, okay, they're ready to go. And so and they did take charge of the game right from the beginning. And they had a strong lineup. And it's nice to see CJ only back, of course, in
Mhm.
there. And with the first team having played at home the day before, it does help when you can have players like Cavan and like Neil had been on the bench.
Right.
And neither of them were used in the first team game. So having those guys there. And so yeah, it was a strong lineup and they end up winning 5-2, which it was 5-0 for towards the end there, two late goals. But first of all, the strikers getting hot. Strikers are getting much hotter, which is huge.
Yeah, no, you had goals from Stas had a
Hmm.
brace. Stas
Yeah.
Goranowski had a brace. And he looked good. That's probably the best. Now
Oh
he
yeah.
has 3 goals in 2 games. You
Yes.
love to see him starting to get his form. Uh, Sal had a goal there again. Played much better.
Yeah.
Get the sack goal. That's big for his confidence.
Yeah. Sal looked great on the day. As
Uh,
with Sauce. Yeah.
Cavan, like you said, thanks to Gio's hustle there, draws a foul. Cavan gets the PK.
Yep.
And then, as we all kind of were joking, Ryan kind of joked about it too, when we talked to him this week ahead of Toronto, Malik's just going to do what Malik does when he's in back. He's a proven finisher.
Yeah.
So,
And
and that was a nice little chip by Malik.
yeah, it was.
Malik just gets that ball over.
Yeah.
I keep calling him Malik, but it's Malik.
Malik.
I know. Shame on me.
Yeah, Kyle.
Um, I will say this. That was the best first 20 minutes from the Union 2 with the pressing, how they were all pressing with cadence. No one was trying to play hero. The
Hmm.
balls, getting either from the midfield or on the turnovers, getting the balls behind the defense. And look, I get it that Chicago offensively is a juggernaut with Shukaluk and Pareba and a few others. Defensively, they're not the best. They give up goals. We saw that in their previous match when they went 5-4 against NYCFC 2.
Yeah, like you can score on them,
You can
but
score on them, but
they're
they can
gonna,
score right
yeah,
now. Uh, that said, I thought they did a great job disrupting Chicago, not giving them the opportunities.
yeah,
But for the first 20 minutes, they're up 2-0. You're thinking, okay, are they going to lay off the gas pedal? They really didn't. That full first 45. Second half, Chicago adjusted those first 15 minutes, but then when the PK happened and all that, it was kind of over. Once that third goal happens, and third and fourth goals happen, it's like, okay,
Yeah, and it was surprising because I'm thinking, oh, are they going to have Melinda in goal? Nope. They had their very new signing. Literally, it was just announced that day that they had signed Owen Pratt
yeah, from
from
Ventura County.
yeah. So and I was saying, I'm like, I wonder if they wish they'd put Melinda in, but Union 2 would sure be glad that they didn't because yeah, they sure got
No,
it done. But yeah, it was just more of a complete game because we've seen them sometimes, okay, they'll have a pretty good first half and then they just kind of like back off the second half and we talked with Ryan about this too, sometimes it was just the heat, in the one game and different things, but this was a complete game, honestly. And aside from the two goals they gave up at the very end to Shook. I mean, one was, PK, and one other one was just
which
like
Marks made a great save
he
on
did.
Shukaluk, and it's just unlucky it bounced out. He gets and Shukaluk's right there and just knocks it
Yeah.
in. Second one, yeah, you could have done better. You kind
Yeah.
of could have finished the match a little better.
But let's talk about George Marks for a second because he gets his second start with Union 2, and I thought he did a fantastic job.
He had some really good saves early on when the game was tight, I thought.
Yeah.
Also his presence out there, you can see he played big time college soccer.
Yeah.
I know professional soccer is different than college soccer, but look, the guy, you can tell he's a natural leader, and I know he didn't have a ton to do, but when he did, he made it. He made the impact felt. And Ryan said that, look, he first and foremost is a great teammate, and you can see that
Hmm.
he is a great teammate. And I'm curious, with a couple more starts potentially, that does he kind of use this? I'm not saying he's back next year with the Philadelphia organization,
Yeah.
but here's an opportunity for him maybe to parlay a USL game, a USL team.
Good stepping stone for him.
Maybe it's an opportunity to parlay with another MLS team. Who knows? But it's an opportunity for him to make an impact right now for the second team. Um, Move and in his career moving forward. So yeah, credit to him. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I talked to him after the match. I talked to Stas as well, and of course Ryan. Those are all in my match recap. But I loved it when I asked Stas about George Marks. Stas was like, it's like he's a cat. It's
Yeah.
funny, because
One thing about
yeah.
Stas, I will say, he gives some really good answers. Like
Well, he speaks like he's a Penn grad,
he
college
does,
educated
and
guy.
sometimes he'll like if you didn't like one time I asked him a question, he was kind of like, well, no, that's not how it is. He'll tell you his opinion, but
Yeah,
he's having fun too when you ask him things. And
yeah,
I really do enjoy Stas's candor
yeah.
when you talk to him.
Yeah,
So
yeah, he gave some great responses. Just, go check it out on the match recap that I put out because he gave some great responses. As did George Marks, talked about him acclimating to the team and everything. So and worth noting, this is five different goalkeepers for Union 2. They've had different players, Andrew Rick, Oliver Zemla, they've had Pierce, Holbrook, Mike Sheridan, and then they have George Marks. And so even though there's been different keepers used at different times for various reasons, they all have been able to do a good job in there. And Union 2 has the best goal differential and the fewest goals allowed in
it
yesterday.
does,
I Yeah.
and it's such a credit to Ryan. I know Jose Nunez posted this earlier this week, but it's worth bringing up. 13 wins now, with two games to go. What a job by Richter. With some of the big names either graduating or moving on.
Hmm.
Um, and some of the players that are coming up from the U8, from the academy, now starting to make an impact. And really, when you look at it, this is a team that went from at the beginning of the year was, oh, okay, are they going to bring this pretty much a lot of these guys back? To now being like, oh, well, we're starting to see the impacts of the Kellen LeBlancs. We're starting to see the Geos, Uzcatekis, Jordan, which Ryan, you posted it's on our Instagram
Yeah,
page,
yeah.
gave a great post about Jordan from the beginning of the year to now, how the leaps and bounds he's made. You've seen Willie, Malik, they're making impacts. And but then you have the Eddies, the Sals, the Stasses, the Cavins when he's making appearances, and the CJs. They're still there, and the Nick Parianos that were there, and even Gio was there last year.
Yeah.
That were with that team that won the Eastern Conference. But you're starting to see that next wave come up, and I've really thought Ryan across the board has done a good job of managing because you see some teams like look at
Mm.
Columbus two, Crew two.
Yeah.
They went to three straight Eastern Conference finals, you know.
Yeah.
They won an MLS Next Pro Cup. But this year, that kind of maturation, now they're at the bottom of the league. And you see that even Cincinnati too. Last year they were red hot. They won the
Yeah.
Eastern Conference down at the bottom. So credit to the Union for really with this MLS Next Pro team, really kind of maintain consistency of
Yeah.
good stuff. So
Yeah. I think,
of the excellence.
yeah, no, like Ryan's done a tremendous job with them. And I know that it's, I think it's something that he's very natural at because he did come up through coaching the academy. Some of these players that he coaches now at the Union too, he's known for a long time. He said he's
Oh
known
yeah.
Jordan Griven since he was 8. He's worked with a lot of these guys for a long time.
It's funny. We'll like interview him about
Yeah.
somebody new, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I coached them here." And
Yeah.
oh, okay.
But, being coaches ourselves, I think we can appreciate a lot of what we see when we see training and see, what goes into this. But so, I mean, Marlon LeBlanc did a fantastic job with Union too. It's big shoes to fill. And I think, you see why Jim Curtin really had a lot of trust in Ryan Richter. Yeah, he knows his stuff there. He's doing a great job and we'll see how continues to go. But, I,
Yeah, that whole lineup with the bench and
yeah,
everything, that and that's a bench where you really, really are like, oh man, they had that on a weekly basis. Sky's the limit with this
yeah.
team.
And that's the thing, there that the lineup can really fluctuate throughout the season.
Yep.
That's how it goes. Sometimes players need to go to the first team, or sometimes they have things with the academy, or they get call ups and different things going on. So it's it can be a tough thing to tackle. They have to play a Friday night with the first, in Canada, and the first team's going to be down at DC. So
Yeah, and
it's
Ryan mentioned that there'll probably
yeah.
be some things. I'm curious though, does like a Cavan play on Friday, then play like a half and then get to the airport and fly down to DC? I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, we've seen them do it this year with what was it? Was it Huntsville? It was Huntsville where they had to play Miami. They played the Friday
Yeah.
and a couple of guys flew down. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, really excited to see how they do in these last two games. Toronto on Friday, Ryan said, here's another team, Toronto, that
They're fighting for playoff position.
they're fighting for playoff position. And you look at their last couple games, they've either drawn or lost by one goal, or they've beaten some good teams. This is going to be a tough team. And, it's like he said when I asked him, styles are different. They tend to play with the back three compared to Chicago with back four. Although Ryan did say something interesting about back threes. I know it's come up, when we talk about the first team playing against back threes, how, it can be tough. Ryan said, "Oh no, we actually played well against back threes." So
Hmm.
something to keep track of. But yeah, I mean, they have a really good goalkeeper. And it's going to be a tough game. It always is on the road, even in MLS Next Pro. But hey, you get 3 points. Union right now, if they win out, I know a couple teams have games in hand. They can really finish anywhere from first down to sixth. So
Hopefully not that low.
no, but there is that possibility. So these last two games are equally important as they run into the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely want some home field advantage. So
So we'll see how they play tomorrow
mhm.
night in Toronto. But
Yeah,
I think that game's at
7 p.m.
York.
at
It's at
York
York.
University.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was saying, yeah, like I've actually been up there one time because of a school trip in high school.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Um, and moving on, talk about the first team real quick.
yeah.
Yeah. So Union win 1-0.
2:30 p.m. game.
It
That was
was a beautiful
amazing.
day.
It was a great day. Yes.
Beautiful day. And again, I get the whole argument of the 7:30 kickoff for ticketing and sales and
Yeah.
money. And yeah, it is prime time, gets people that, families that are there, but yeah, have day activities to get them to the park. I get all that.
Just like to mix it up sometimes.
But it was a packed house for a 2 p.m. kickoff. I will say that it was
Hmm.
really nice. And also, yeah, you see some of these teams during the year, and maybe it's stadium related. I'm not sure. Somebody listening might know more.
Hmm.
Um, but you see some of these teams, I know like NYCFC, they have stadium issues, but there's some teams that play maybe a handful of earlier games throughout the year. So I'm not sure about that. I think some teams, I think it's beneficial to mix it up, um, like you said. But again, Bruno, wonderful goal there on the
Hmm.
second half. Um, we'll talk about, but just coming off of that U.S. Open game, which, Union were in it, going down 2-0, kind of lackluster first half, kind of carried a little bit over from Vancouver. Again, I get the travel schedule and all
Yeah.
that. That was going to be a tough trip regardless, and we talked about on our previous podcast. But they kind of build into the second half. Quinn gets that goal, and then Surge being Surge, and he's red hot right now. It is what it is. I thought in the first half, uh, one of the things that kind of carried over from the Nashville game was prevalent again, and that was just the slow start, not creating a lot of opportunities through those first 30 minutes, and kind of just keeping New England in it and almost playing down to their level.
Yeah. Um, I I do want to say that yeah, it did start kind of like that, and it's like, oh gosh, here we go again. But I going into it, I felt a little bit like, I don't know, I felt like, okay, I feel like they can win this. There's just a little bit different energy. You got
There was,
you
there
got
was,
Andre back in goal. He brings that presence. Andrew Rick has done a phenomenal job. You can't blame you can't blame all those goals that got scored on him.
right.
But Andre brings that veteran presence there, and I think just that alone, like, kind of gave it like, okay.
Yeah. And in regards to Andre, the biggest thing there was, again, yeah, he was in net, and I can really just talk about that. I'll share a clip from Cornell in a little bit, but yeah, that first 30 minutes, like you said, there was an energy, really 30 minutes, like outside, I think, was it Frankie had that ball in the box that headed it,
Yeah.
goes right to Matt Turner. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a very highly touted, former
Yeah.
national, well, he's still in the mix for national team, but also former MLS goalkeeper of the year. Guy knows his stuff.
Yeah.
I thought after 30 minutes they started building into it a little bit, and,
Hmm.
and they ended the half, actually creating shots and chances. And it's like, okay, now they're building into it, similar to Nashville. Still kind of nothing, nothing and a half. And you're like, okay, are they going to get a goal here and kind of hold it down? Just get a point, get out of town, 3 points. You guys stay on the shield.
Hmm.
Um, the biggest thing was I want to play a clip. Bradley talked about it. The first half, it just didn't seem like they were able to get the ball out in space,
Hmm.
but also we were playing back a lot. We weren't pressing the
Yeah.
ball up. It was
People
like,
around me were just like, quit playing the ball back and all this different stuff. It's like,
and it has
there's like,
value when you're trying to
yeah.
switch and try to reset, but it just seemed like,
Hmm.
and maybe that's why Danley went out at half. And so Carnell does share his thoughts about that substitution and kind of why it was made.
And we played backwards at our home stadium. We got booed, right? 6 times in the first half when we played backwards. This is not how I envision the game to be, right? I want us to be brave, vertical, relentless, and fearless, okay? Especially sometimes you have to will your way and force your way to success, and this is what I wanted. So In the first half, that was one of the critical things that we spoke about, and it had nothing to do with the position of the holding midfielder. But I know Indy does bring a little bit more verticality, a little bit more dribbling and driving with the ball, and opening up and creating space for others. So, and exactly how we scored the goal. We're brave, vertical, and that's exactly what I was trying to initiate with that substitution.
All right. So that's kind of where he does. And again, like he said, it wasn't necessarily the holding midfielder, but yeah, Bueno and Danley just didn't seem to have it on the day. I've seen a lot better from Danley Jean-Jacques, and maybe it's just because he's such comfortable with Jovan that maybe that threw him off. But even up top, I mean, he talks about the holding midfielders. Indy really was struggling. Quinn was kind of at times
Yeah.
not finding as much as he wanted. They weren't getting the balls
Yeah.
into Ty and Damiani as much as you wanted to see. But credit also to New England. I mean, they kind of had a nice plan there. We're stifling them. But then the second half, you saw that substitution. Danley comes off, and they bring on Milan.
And
And
people I was talking to were like, they need to bring Milan in, and
and
yeah, I
credit,
agreed.
there he goes, brings him in. Indy slides back, and at that point, and it's not even the Peyton Miller red card.
Yeah.
It was you saw the game open up, and
Hmm.
I think it was Jimmy King asked, outside of what Bradley had said there, what was the strategy? And Bradley said, our outside of all the emotion and just that was the main criticism. It was also about finding space. There was space to be had in that first half on the
Yeah.
attack, and we weren't finding it. And then you saw in the second half, Union finding the space, making runs, and starting to create chances. And the game really opened up once Zalewski came in, and he's been such a big, big impact player this second half once he's gotten in.
Yeah. No, he's been, I mean, I, one of our friends brought up the fact that, yeah, like what, yeah, Milan Iloski has been to the Union, kind of like what Harrison Bader's been to the Phillies.
It's a fair point. It's a very fair point. So again, I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you think was the biggest shift from the first half to second half? I thought that was big. The Peyton Miller red card, that was dumb.
That whole thing, yeah. He throws the ball at Ty's back. Like he did not like, how Ty kind of ran into him. Okay, but like this is 17-year-old losing his cool, and he's gonna learn from that, that's for sure. Funny enough, of course, Peyton Miller's with the U20s with over there with Frankie and Eddie
Right.
in Chile. So
Right. And that just kind of opened up the game more. But back to the goal, just the build up, getting out there, Frankie to Milan, Milan. And those are the goals that when you see the Union on
mhm.
are the kind of goals you'd like to see.
Oh, that was a beautiful setup. Yeah, it was awesome.
So yeah, like you can go up, the game's in hand. I do gotta say, Chris Donovan, you could have put the game on ice. They had a couple other chances, but Chris Donovan had that ball in the corner where he just tries to like do too much and the ball just kind of dribbles out. Turner can make that save. There's
Mhm.
like two or three times where it's like, Chris, just there were plays to be had and goals to be had, and you, and grind out game like this, you credit the Union for getting all 3 points.
Yes. Yeah, they could have definitely had more goals, but they got the win.
They got the win. But there's a situation in the playoffs where that second goal is so valuable late in the game
Yeah.
that you wonder, does that does that come back to haunt him down the road? Who knows? I'm talking about when it gets to the playoffs.
Yeah. Just yeah, Chris Donovan's got to do better there. When he like kind of went out of bounds with it, people are like, "Oh, Andrew Wenger." Shout out to Lancaster County guy, Andrew Wenger. But just yeah, that was disappointing. That's a situation where I would have loved to have seen someone like Sal in there.
I mean, that's a fair point. Does a Marcus, does an
That's
Eddie, does this
yeah,
guy do they do better? You don't know. That's all speculation, but
yeah.
who knows? Who knows? But I did think that outside of that, I thought it was fine. He hustled on a couple
Mhm.
great plays, which from a striker hustling to get the ball. It's just
Yeah.
wonderful to see.
Yeah.
I thought Rafa was good.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought he was
He
good.
actually he does a pretty good job when he's brought on, like, he does what he's expected to do.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it's
yeah.
nothing above and beyond, but I thought he was fine. But I thought for the most part, Carnell got the subs right.
Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention too with that whole red card thing. Of course, Ty, was it ever explained why Ty got the yellow? But
Carnell said he hadn't reviewed it,
right,
and
so
no one really seemed to know what was going on when I asked
yeah.
some other people
But
in pool.
long story short, yeah, Ty got a yellow and he was on accumulation warning, so he will not play against DC.
And I mean, as they go down towards stoppage time, there was a couple opportunities. I think it was Heel or somebody had a shot that like kind of surprised
Yeah, there was
Blake.
like one real late there.
Yeah, where you're like, oh, that's PTSD of like Toronto and Columbus and my games where the Union have dropped points this year.
Mhm.
And I even said on that final corner kick there by Heel, I was like, said to Jimmy, he was up impressed with me. I said, they need to close this one out now.
Hmm.
Like this cannot happen. And him and I are both joking about it. But yeah, to Union's credit, Andre's leadership shows up, and
Hmm.
Carnell did speak about that really at the end because and I'll tell you the backstory on this. So we were told by one of our friends that, I guess it was Stu Holden who was calling the match,
Hmm.
said that the reason Andre was in net is Carnell wanted to see some leadership. So
Hmm.
I saw that and I'm thinking to myself, I wanted to ask Bradley, like, hey, what about that leadership?
Yeah, I just loved the moment when in the 94th minute they get a half chance, against the run of play. Not the save, but just the way he ignites energy. And I think that's just through experience, right? So, and that's what I liked. I thought he had a very quiet game, not much to do.
Hmm.
We limited them to, I think, zero point 0.5 XG on the night or whatever it was. So, but just psychologically for the rest of the group, get over the bump of what we've had. And I think Andrew's done an incredible job. He's grown so much in this phase. And sometimes then you just have to reflect. And then that's when learning happens, is when you, in the moment, then you zoom out and you learn, and then you're ready to go again. So I think everyone's taken steps forward this week.
Yeah, and first off, I like how I brought up Rick
Yes.
and about the growth and development again. And yeah, had a rough week, but now you take those learning moments and apply them moving forward. That's true.
Mhm.
The thing I took away from that is the experience of Andre.
Yes.
I know injuries have last two seasons have been a big thing with Andre, and rightfully so, and even maybe a little bit back to 2023. These last three seasons just have been tough for him. Having said that, when he is in net, you can still see the experience, the leadership when he makes that half save,
Mhm.
how he's calling out the commands, all this, and getting those people. And I was watching him at times. When we were playing back in the first half, he's telling the guys, you got to get forward. Like there was a couple times he's pressed, like he's yelling at, I think it was it Glesnes or Harold, like move up, like they gotta get the ball up. And again, comes from leadership, comes from experience. Um, so yeah, I mean, he's right. He didn't really have a busy day, but also there's that value, that X factor. So I appreciate that response from Bradley there. And yeah, 3 points on the day, and you go into the weekend still top the MLS standings in the support shield. So I mean, you get a little break there from who is it? Atlanta against San Diego,
Yeah.
puts them back. Cincy kind of does their work, and they're looking good right now. Once again, I mean, look, the Shield standings, the Shield race,
Someone needs to keep Miami from winning.
and I'll talk about that in a second. But you now head to DC, where recently they've had some good success. I
Last
think,
time we were down there for the Union, Jack McGlynn had an absolute golazo. That should have been goal of the year.
yeah, and that was a 2-2 draw.
Yep.
and then they won 3-1 the year prior, and then there was that 6-0 game the year prior to
Yeah,
that.
Julian Carron's a hat trick. That was
Yeah,
something. Ooh.
yeah. So recent success is good.
Mm-hmm.
They had a coaching change this year, and Bradley said that. I mean, look, they've had results. I think what was it, 4 of their last 5 they've had results. And they played Miami hard on the road. They lost 3-2. They bowed back there. So this is a team, while yeah, they're out of it, they're still playing for
Mm-hmm.
something. They still have Benteke. And it's going to be a tough match on the road. But again, it goes back to these are the games that you need to win. You have Makanya back,
Mm-hmm.
um, and we'll see. But interesting story is like, yeah, 3 games left. You gotta win the games you're supposed to win. This is a game that you have to win.
Yep. Yep. They need to get 3 points and do their very best to, set themselves up here. If, I mean, it's not entirely in their hands, if Miami wins out, but, you know, again, getting good playoff positioning either way. And, you want to get that home field advantage a bit. So, but if they can go and get the shield, awesome. But yeah, they got to get it done this weekend if they really want their best shot at that.
They do. So that brings up Patton had asked the question, what games are you most hate watching
Mhm.
moving forward? Well,
Anything Miami's in?
I especially that Chicago and Nashville game on decision day, if everything
Mhm.
holds up, I'm definitely that. I I think those are the 2 big ones. Miami's matches, where how they hold up. Who else? I think anything with Cincinnati and honestly San Diego right now. I am Vancouver's another one, although Vancouver with the draw. Technically, I think they're a point shy, so they would have to get help. But yeah, there's a lot of teams that, if they win out and you stumble, it shakes everything up. I mean, it's a tight Eastern and Western Conference, so you have to keep winning,
Yep.
um, and get points. Was anything talked about points on the presser today?
Um,
Because somebody asked him about the points, and he kind of didn't really give like a half answer. Like,
well,
we just gotta be brave, and we can't be worried about that
yeah.
because then if we play like think about that, we're gonna play with fear.
Yeah, well, if I'm being honest, I can barely hear some of the questions being asked. So,
Right. That's true. That's fair.
that's why anytime I'm on the presser, like in person, I try to speak loud enough and enunciate because I know it's hard to hear a lot of times. So,
I
yeah.
feel like they need to just have a mic in there.
Yeah.
So like when people ask questions, you can hear because you're
Well,
right.
yeah, because I don't want to sound like an idiot asking maybe something that's already been asked.
Right.
So,
But
yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
whole nother thing. And yeah, I agree. Some people need to maybe
Speak up a little bit, you know. Um, you know,
Yeah,
but
it's a fair point. But no, I have right now, I think with the win, I had this last block for at 7. They're already 1 up. They really, really need to get those next 2 games need to have 3 points, and then you need to go into Charlotte and you try to get another 3. That's the easiest way there is to do it, and or somebody give you a favor. So it's going to be an interesting end of the season, but I was talking to Jimmy about this about, now all of a sudden we're upset about not winning the Shield. Well, I know the goalposts change, and that's fair, but
yeah.
again, did we expect 60 points for the second time in franchise history back in January and February? No. Is it fair to say, yeah, we need to finish this? Absolutely. I don't
Yeah.
think anybody here is saying
Yeah.
that, oh, yeah, let's just be happy with
Come this far, finish it.
exactly. And so I will say that, but also sometimes perspective, right, Oscar? Oscar's up here, our little cat. He's up here hanging out.
Yeah.
So yeah, any final thoughts?
Just, I also got to take my goddaughter to
Oh
the
yeah.
game on Saturday. And so I got to kind of see the whole experience kind of through that lens a little bit with her, seeing, she's 8 years old and seeing her experience all that for the first time. I don't always go over to the plaza and do the things over the plaza, but I took her over there and she got to
And did you have fun?
do different things. Yeah, yeah. She
No,
was very excited about seeing the rescue dogs, of course, and
I know.
she got to do some of the activities there and get some freebies and yeah, no, she had a blast and she helped hold the tifo. She helped
Yes,
with
I
the
saw.
tifo and her.
Yeah, I think you
So,
posted some of those
I
pictures.
did. So she had a great time and so I was glad to take her to experience that. And so she might be coming to another one, her and my best friend who's her mom. So but yeah, it was a really nice day. It was a great weekend for the union. So hopefully they can ride this momentum and I'm gonna have a preview article out for Union 2
Uh,
and we'll have
I
stuff out for the union.
We'll have a travel article. Is my travel article's done? It just needs to be published. We'll probably have that out tomorrow, and I'll have a match preview out probably Saturday morning.
And we're
Looking,
going to DC, so if you see us down there, say
yeah,
hi.
say hi. So we'll be around probably the stadium, going down with some people. But until next time, this has been an all new episode of the One Team We Agree On.
Yeah, make sure to like and subscribe and leave us comments. We love hearing from you. Please interact with us. Again, you can find us on our socials for um we're on Twitter, we're on Blue Sky, we're on Instagram, Facebook. You can find me at silly double underscore Jilly. It's a childhood nickname. At on Twitter and on Instagram, and Kyle's at Coach Almany on all those. So, we love interacting with you. Please continue to do so. And yeah, if you see us, shout us out. It's been really nice seeing people out and about.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this closing, I know some people just fast forward to it. Thanks again for listening. I do have a question I forgot to ask just a second ago. What is your realistic expectation for these last three matches? Like, obviously, we want to see the Union. Everybody wants to see you get all 3 points. We get that. We want to see that. But what's a realistic expectation? Is it 6 points? Is it 9 points? Is it 7 points? Is it somewhere in between there? Let us know. But until next time, I'm Kyle,
I'm Jillian.
and we'll see you at the game.